Speaker, I ask unanimous consent for 5 legislative days within which to revise and extend my remarks and include any extraneous materials on the bill under consideration.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to implore my colleagues to join me in supporting our bill, H.R. 1282, the DHS Acquisition Review Board Act of 2017. This legislation provides common sense reform and saves the taxpayers' dollars. The Government Accountability Office and the DHS Office of the Inspector General have reported that long-standing challenges that the Department of Homeland Security faces in managing its major acquisition programs. These programs are costing more than $300 million, which cost the Department about $7 billion in 2016 alone. Since the GAO has placed DHS management functions, including acquisition management, on its high-risk list of programs that are highly susceptible to fraud, waste, and abuse. Mismanagement is present or in need of transformation, and the DHS still struggles to ensure that major acquisition programs stay on budget and delivered on schedule and provide capabilities as originally intended. Homeland Security is a unique committee insofar as it affords the opportunity for folks on both sides of the aisle to work in a bipartisan manner for things that we can all concede are in the best interest of our nation. But a recent GAO report found that 9 of 26 major acquisition programs experienced cost growth or schedule slips. The amount of cost overruns totaled nearly $1 billion, and their schedules slipped by an average of 6 months per program. The GAO also found that half of the major acquisition programs it reviewed deployed capabilities before meeting all key performance parameters, which are the most important requirements a system must meet in order to do the jobs that they are intended to do. It's unacceptable for waste and dysfunction to continue, and it's imperative that the DHS take acquisition management seriously. This bill makes that the case. We must provide strong accountability mechanisms to ensure major acquisition programs with challenges are caught up, found early, and that solutions are quickly implemented. This bill ensures that DHS provides that accountability and consistency needed to manage major components, acquisition programs, etc., by authorizing the Secretary to establish an acquisition review board. The acquisition review board would then strengthen the accountability and uniformity in DHS's acquisition process, review major programs, and evaluate the use of best practices. This bill essentially codifies the already existing acquisition review board to ensure that that board continues and has the oversight authority it needs to make sure that the dollars that we take from the taxpayers are sufficiently and adequately managed and not wasted. The Acquisition Review Board would be chaired by the Undersecretary for Management and would require at least 2 component heads or their designees to be permanent members. This would ensure participation from all DHS components. The Board would be required to meet regularly and would be responsible to determine if a proposed acquisition has met planning requirements needed to proceed to production and deployment, oversee major acquisitions as a business strategy, and review programs in a cost-benefit analysis format to determine performance objectives and ensure that our dollars are well spent. Mr. Speaker, a recent news story pointed out that 9 individuals on the planet Earth control as much wealth as 50% of the population of the planet Earth. That means that these 9 people control as much wealth as 3.5 billion people. And yet, Mr. Speaker, if you were to take the amalgamated wealth of those 9 individuals and add it to those 3.5 billion and apply it to the United States national debt, we could pay off a mere 9.4%. Given that our national debt is almost $20 trillion and rising, it's imperative that we take this bipartisan step to ensure that our homeland is secured, but that the dollars spent doing so are spent effectively, efficiently, and with good stewardship. This legislation helps to ensure that tax dollars are safeguarded, but it also helps to ensure that DHS personnel receive the tools they need to keep us safe. With that, Mr. Speaker, I implore and urge my colleagues on each side of the aisle to join in this bipartisan legislation to ensure that our tax dollars are well shepherded, but that our nation is as secure as can be possible. I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves.